This is WSUR. I am Crazy G, and you're locked into the G Spot. We are going to go to the phones right now, and we have Mike Labate, the drummer for the band Deathpoint. I just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us here on the G Spot. What's going on?
Staying busy as a band right now, getting ready to release the album. Lots of good things going on right now.
Can you tell the listeners a little bit about Deathpoint and its origination?
Yeah, well, it started... typical Canadian story. I was playing hockey with a buddy when I was about 17 years old, and he had a couple friends playing music in a basement, and they asked me if I wanted to come try drums for them. I had only been drumming for a few months at the time, and but I thought, why not? And I went out and I jammed with them, and they really liked what I did, so they asked me to join the band, and that's 8 years ago now. And since then, it's we've had our lineup changes and whatnot, but still have our original bass player, Brad, still in the band. He was 13 when I joined the band, and just a kid, and I've watched him grow up. And it's, we've had a couple lineup changes here and there, but I've got my best friend from high school, Henry, our lead guitarist. I've got Tim Ross, our rhythm guitarist. We found him on Kijiji, which is a local classified ad. And a recent addition of Tom Emmons about 6 months back, our new vocalist. And it's been amazing since he joined the band. We've got a really solid lineup, and that's where we're at now.
Very cool. You know, you were just saying how he started when he was 13.
Yeah, well, he had been playing bass for a couple years before that even, but when I joined the band, he was only 13, like, just a kid. Like, yeah, it was crazy, but now he's grown up to be this giant beast of a guy, so, it's kind of neat to watch him evolve, not only as a person, but as a musician, too. And, yeah, he was just a young pup when I started, but even then, I was only 17 at the time, so I was just a kid, too, and we've all grown up together now, and it's been really cool to watch everyone evolve as people and musicians.
Your third CD, Sinister, was just recently released. Can you tell us what it was like to write that CD?
Writing the CD was awesome. It was a great process. We've really gotten to a point with our musicianship where we know what the sound is that we want to come out with. We know what's going to define us, and we've really sat down and worked hard on being very particular about every song, every sound, every riff, melody, rhythm. It had to be exactly what the whole band wanted, or it wouldn't stay. Like, we wouldn't keep it. And so the writing process was not slow. Like, we had lots of ideas, but it was really well worked over, where we were there was no good enough attitude. It had to be perfect. It had to be right. And so the process was good, long, lengthy, but I think we took the time and did it right. We've come out with a very good record here.
Was there anything different that you did with this CD compared to Fixation or Suffer?
The recording process was a little different. We tracked guitars at a separate studio than where we tracked the rest of the record, just because the guy that tracked our guitars, Paul Penny, he's just a guitar genius. He demands perfection, and he's actually a close friend of several members of the band. So we got to sit down and work with him, and the result was fantastic. I think the writing process, too, between Fixation and Sinister, you can hear the musical growth between 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds, kind of. We just took it to the next level. We really pushed ourselves, and then the addition of Tom just was a world of difference.
As you said, there was a 3 to a 5 year lapse where you grew within that time, so it kind of helped you when you got to that point, because you're like, okay, we're 3 years older now or 5 years older now, and you probably went at it in a different perspective or took a different way of doing whatever it was that you did to make it, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we first listened to Fixation, when it was mixed and mastered, we looked at each other and we said, how are we ever going to top this? And then we came out with Sinister, and we looked at each other and said, wow, we really blew Fixation out of the water. How are we going to top this? And we've begun writing the next record just for the sake of staying busy. And we're already saying, wow, this new stuff's going to top Sinister, but Sinister is just absolutely doing fantastic right now. The songs on it are great. So, you really do, you see it for yourself, the progression of the maturity amongst every member, and then as it comes together as a whole complete sound, it's so cool to see.
30 Stitches is an amazing tune. What went into this particular track?
30 Stitches, it's a funny story about that song. That's Henry's baby from the record. It originally wasn't even going to be a Deathpoint song. It was a little side project thing he had going. like just where he liked to write music and stuff that was very melodic, and you know, he didn't really present it to the band, and he showed me it one day just for, we were driving in his SUV or whatever, and I was like, dude, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. He's like, yeah, but you know, it's whatever, like, it's just kind of my own little side thing. I was like, let us get our hands on it. Let's try and work this and see what we can get out of it. You know, a bit of hesitation went up, and he's like, yeah, you know what, why not? And when we finally pieced it all together and everyone had their input and arrangement and parts and changes and this and that, it turned into the song it is today, and it's just been absolutely incredible. It's got incredible feedback from people, and it really seems to be a moving, touching, very powerful song, and a great way for the album to end. And, you know, he did a great job with it and everything like that, but he had that song for probably up to 2 years by the time we got our hands on it. It was a long process for that song to become 30 Stitches, which is why I really appreciate it as a song, and I really hope everyone else does too.
The self-titled track, Sinister, is just that. The lyrics are incredible. Can you tell us the story behind that song?
I don't know as in-depth as Tom, but he has talked to me about it, and really it's based on the loss of morality within people, just becoming this sinister being based on, you know, the loss of morals and the loss of ethics and whatnot. And, you know, that's my personal favorite from the album, just because that's my style, very rhythmic bass with melodic elements. I love his screaming parts, and I love the chorus, big catchy hook. There's so much to that song that is exactly what I would want to hear as a listener, that when we wrote that song, I thought, yeah, like, this is just solid, and it's a great title track, because I think it's a very all-encompassing song, too. That the album's heavy, it's melodic, it's groovy, it's catchy. It's got everything the album has through and through, so, you know, absolute great song overall.
For Your Eyes Only is another track that is absolutely killer. What was the band going for with this track, and did you have a specific outline for that song?
Never really had a specific outline for it, but we were going for the opening track really getting people's attention. We didn't really want to ease into the album. We didn't want, you know, like an instrumental first track or anything like that. We wanted this ambient intro that just hits when the song comes in full and just grabs your attention and hangs on to your attention through the whole song. And, you know, the rhythm parts in that song are absolute favorites of mine. The lyrics, the vocal patterns, the melody through and through. I think it was pieced together really nice. It's probably one of the most intricate songs we've come up with, and took us a long time to write it start to finish. It's one of the only songs that we wrote completely as a whole band all together over and over, as opposed to a person bringing in this part or that part or this part. It was a full team effort from start to finish.
I would like to know, who are some of your or the band's musical influences?
The band is influenced by a lot of the big dogs these days. Lamb of God's by far my biggest influence. I love Chris Adler. I love his style of drumming and everything he does. You've got Soilwork, you've got Slipknot, you've got All That Remains, In Flames, anything from those melodic death metal like Scandinavian bands, all the way to like your American Five Finger Death Punches and bands like that. Dream Shade is a new one that I've discovered over the past couple months, and they're absolutely brilliant. And we have tons of influences. Tom gets a little more out there with progressive styles like Tool and whatnot too, but at the same time he has the same goal that we do as far as what our music should sound like. So, tons of different influences, yet we come together with the same idea for what the Deathpoint sound should be, which is really key to getting a band to pump out solid records, and that everyone agrees on things, and there's a whole sound that everyone's happy with.
You guys seem to combine various genres in your style of music. Can you tell us what some of them might be?
Well, you've got a good hard rock element for sure. You can hear that in a song like Between the Lines, which is the second track off the record. And, there are some heavier influences, and a song like Condemned to Suffer, where you could get almost into like a deathcore kind of style. You get Scandinavian metal styles where there's harmonized riffs all over the place, like the Sinister main riff through the verses is a great harmonized riff, and like there's all sorts of different feels of metal, yet I think that really contributes to you not being able to really put a finger on our sound and saying they sound like this band or they sound like that band. I think you can pull influences and say, like that sounds like something that would have come from a Soilwork influence or a Lamb of God influence, but at the same time it's its own thing for sure, and that's a feedback we've been hearing a lot, which makes us very happy because it's so easy to fall into a niche and just sound like another band, and we're really, really trying hard to do our own thing and define our own sound and have our own special points about, Deathpoint and what we're trying to do.
That's a good point because, as I listen to you guys, it's like you can hear the influences, but you do not sound, like anything in particular. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you go through it, it's like, okay, well, that could be a little bit of this, or that could be a little bit of that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's very cool. As you said, the contributing part, each member does contribute their own style, so to speak, to the actual sound of Deathpoint. How does that work, and does that interconnect well?
Yeah, lately it's been absolutely interconnecting amazingly. Like, my role is a lot to structure the songs, order, kind of feel what I think the song should be doing, and Tom is very good at that too. And so me and him collaborate a lot on that kind of thing. Henry is the melody king. That guy will find a melody out of nowhere all the time, and he knows how to make something beautiful even when it's dark or a part that you wouldn't expect to turn out beautiful. And Tim and Brad have just turned into riff kings. Like, they're banging riffs out left and right that are just like, wow, like, where did you come up with that? And just parts that you wouldn't expect, and it's just meshing together so well lately. Like, I'm so excited for people to get their hands on this record, because this is just the tip of the iceberg, we feel, as to like what's more to come. But we think this record can really do some significant damage as far as like getting people's attention and being like, wow, who are these guys? Where did they come from? And that's a big goal of ours. We want people to know us. We want people to know the sound. We want people to enjoy the record.
I listened to the whole thing and I was like, wow, these guys are just, it's in your face, but it's different. It's not like anything. I mean, I'm old school. I'm a little older, probably, a lot older than you. I mean, I grew up on Sabbath and Priest and Maiden and, Zeppelin and Hendrix and all those bands. But when I listened to you guys, it was like, as I said, you can't pinpoint exactly. It's different. It's just different. It's something that I've never experienced or heard before. I think that's what's great about the band, is that you can actually do that to people now, not like, and nothing against AC/DC, but when they do an album and then they come out with another one, it's them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah.
They sound the same constantly.
Oh, you can say the same about Lamb of God these days. Every single record they pump out, the second a song starts playing, it's them.
Right. But
yeah.
I'm not, I'm not saying anything bad about either of them, because I love them both. It's just that people want something different that they can sink their teeth into and say, wow, these guys are doing something different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's crazy just because, like, if you met us, we're just like, we are a bunch of very normal dudes. Like, I go fishing and hunting, and I play hockey and golf and whatnot, and just typical guy stuff. And all the guys in the band are just normal dudes that just, like, live normal lives. Like, there's nothing, like, crazy about us. We're not ridiculous. And to know that these 5 guys get together and create this music in a basement, yet we're getting the response we are, is just, it's amazing. We're so grateful. We're so inspired by the response we're getting. Like, every person that gives us feedback and tells us how much they like it, like, it blows us away, and it's humbling too. It's kind of like, wow, like, I'm getting a chance to go after like an absolute dream that millions of people dream about every day, and like, we're really grateful for it. And at the same time though, like, we never want to be the guys that ever get an ego or anything like that, because we're just normal guys and we love talking to fans and friends and everything like that about it. So it's been a really amazing response, and we're looking forward to what's coming. Like, because as far as we know, sky's the limit, and we're really going after everything right now.
Well, I hope it continues for you. Just a couple more quick questions, and then I'll let you go. Can you tell the fans something about Deathpoint they may not know?
Our lead guitarist is a big country music fan.
It's funny. I've been hearing a lot of that lately from a lot of different
I don't
artists.
get it. I don't get it, because I've tried. I've honestly given country music a go, and I respect the talent behind it, and I get why other people like it, but for me, I just can't do it. So, yeah, there's a fact you might not know. He's a big-time country music fan, and no one else is, because we can't figure out why he enjoys it so much.
Well, I got to admit, I'm right there with you. I mean, I've tried. I mean, I grew up on him. It was like, I don't know. I just can't do it.
I know, I can't do it either. I don't get it.
All right, well, what can the fans expect next from Deathpoint? Do you plan to get right back at the writing process for yet a 4th CD? And I know you mentioned something about it.
Well, the main thing is to tour and support this record. You know, it comes out October 1st, and we want to get out and tour it a lot. You know, the U.S. is a huge goal of ours. We're only 45 minutes from the border in Hamilton here, and we want to get to the U.S. We want to tour the U.S. We want to tour Canada, and maybe some bigger things too. Now, we are writing a new record just to stay busy, because the writing process for a new record to come out with a good product is a long time, and we're being extremely picky with what we come out with. So, yeah, will there be a new record eventually? Yeah, but our plans are to tour, support Sinister. This record's going to be, you know, Sinister's going to be hopefully a hit with people. I really hope the news of the record keeps getting around to people and people keep playing it and hearing it, because I firmly believe that any metalhead who hears this record is gonna, if not love it, take something away from it they're gonna love. There's just so much to it. It's a deep record. I feel like it's strong, and anyone who gets their hands on it is really gonna love it. I've had people who aren't metalheads at all, you know, hear the record and be like, wow, there's, like, that song was amazing, or this part's amazing, or, you know, stuff like that. And that's really encouraging to me, because it's not a soft record by any means, but it's not a death metal record. It's just this, it's exactly what we wanted to accomplish with a melodic groove metal. Stuff you can really bang your head to, stuff you can really get into, with hooks all over the place, and parts that you're going to want to hear over and over again. So we're going to tour it a bunch and really make sure that people are aware of this record and this band.
That's spectacular, and, you know, I want to take the time now to say thank you for calling in on the G-Spot. I want to thank NewEnglandConcertReviews.com for hooking this up. You know, I wish you the best. I wish Deathpoint the best. I hope you guys, this fourth CD, I mean, Sinister is awesome. I hope the fourth CD is just as good, if not better. And I hope you guys come around here, because I'd really like to check you out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I personally want to thank you, and I know the band would thank you for having us. Like, it's so great to talk to people, like, about the music and whatnot, and help spread the word. Like I said, we're gonna make sure Sinister is really a staple in people's music. I guess their repertoire anyway. So we're gonna make sure that we get out there and let people know about it, and hopefully the music speaks for itself too when people get their hands on the record. So thank you very much for having me, and we really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime. I thank you. NewEnglandConcertReviews.com. All the members, tons of luck, and, you know, rip it up out there, man. Just keep cranking it out.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Thanks very much for having me. We'll talk to you later, okay?
All right. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye now.
That was Mike Labate, the drummer for the band Deathpoint. It was great talking to him. And don't forget, Deathpoint, Sinister, their new CD. Check them out. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back. This is Crazy G and the G-Spot from WSUR.